In this video I've dug out the old Sony FH7 I've got. That's the good parts of it. I did a video on this quite a while ago now. Unfortunately the cassette player in it looks like this. The door's all broken. I think there were more bits than this, but I've got them God knows where now. But this was beyond it. I end up selling the brackets off the end of it and the handle that goes on the brackets to someone because they had a decent system but missing those bits, so at least someone got something good out of it. And this has just been sitting under the bench. I think I dug it out to do a video on the different types of speakers they use to upgrade them. And this is a Mark II, and yeah, a kind viewer sent me their one, so look at that, that's in really good condition. But yeah, unfortunately they actually want this one back, which is a shame. And I have just noticed one thing that's damaged on this I didn't notice before, and that's a button there. What is it? Dolby Inner. They didn't pack it the best, but it made it pretty well in the Australia Post. They're getting a lot better now, so maybe we can put that button in there for them as well. If we can get this thing going. He just wants a quote on it. It's supposedly been in storage at their parents' place for quite a while, and they finally dug it out again. It's got a little bit of slight rust on the top, but yeah, pretty good condition. It's nice to see one with the front on it again. And I probably shouldn't have even looked at this because I bet these are not the easiest thing to work on, but I don't think they're too bad. And I think it deserves to have a video done on these things. Well, the actual head's not sitting in the right spot, but that could be, again, just because the belts are slipping. And yeah, there's a bit of muck on around the pinch rollers, bit of brown sort of colour. Looks like someone has had a go at cleaning it. I'm not sure what that brown stuff is on the bottom of it, but maybe that's normal. Oh yeah, this one, where is it? It's probably rust actually. But they both brown down under the head there. Yeah, this one's at least sitting in the right spot. The other one's twisted on an angle. Now, sometimes you can find that something's broken, but it's more likely that it's just the mechanism's jammed in some random position because the belts are slipping or broken. But this one's all running, and we really need it because that's our power connector. And it looks like we can set it to single reverse or continuous reverse modes. Gotta watch that because they open when you press them on the front there. So I guess we'll get the top off this thing. We might as well have a inspection of it without any power just to get an idea what this thing's like inside. But yeah, it's generally nice and clean besides that little bit of, probably had a little bit of dampness, but that's nothing compared to some of these things when they've been sitting in a cold garage or something for years. Get that off to one side, and I think this board swings up in these, so Sony at least normally make their stuff fairly easy to fix. Of course these compact systems, they don't always have a choice. The problem is when you're trying to make stuff small, I think we've got to take the back off, come to think of it. Oh, there's a couple of spaces there. I can see a belt. Oh, the belts look like they might be there. But we're probably going to have to dismantle this a fair bit anyway. But even this has quite a bit of empty space in it, so it shows how far the electronics had come by that stage. Most hi-fi full-size decks are an empty box anyway, so they tend to fill it with a bit of circuit board, but they probably don't really need to make them that big. But I guess they want the consumer to see they bought something. That cover off it. Screws together. Yeah, here we go. This, I don't think it actually hinges, but it lifts and should slide out. So don't try to hinge it, whatever you do. Oh yeah, quite a nice little unit actually. Though we're probably going to have to pull some layering apart there, but at least we can see what's going on in this. And yeah, the belts are there, but that doesn't mean at least they haven't gone to goo by the look of it. Can we turn them? Doesn't mean they're not stuck to things, so that one's not. That one's not really turning anything, so I won't force it. that one I think is from the motor to probably the reels. Yeah, that'd be the middle reel one. But the main capstan belt should do the mechanism. I'm not seeing the main gear turning. But that one, what is that one? That might be the one. Oh, that turns possibly the main gear off the capstan, I'm guessing. Oh yeah, that's turning. I turn the capstan. So that's why I can't turn that belt, because it's trying to turn the whole capstan. So those belts are reasonably intact by the look of it, so this thing probably isn't too bad. But we're going to have to work out how we can power this board up and keep it off the chassis, because that's going to be the next step. Let's just turn that unit off. Let's have a look at that. It looks a little dry jointed on there to me. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to solder that connector. That's not quite dry jointed, but it's starting to get there, starting to crack around a few pins. Might even sit that back in its little slots, so I know it's not touching anything. And fire up the main system. We've got a flashing pause light. I don't hear the motor going. Pause light, stop flashing. We've got type metal tape. Now, do we need to hold a switch or something to get this to... Yeah, I reckon we do. Yeah, rather dead. Now, do we have to go to tape on the main unit? Possible. This is the problem with these things. Sometimes you've got to set them to the right input. Let's go to tape. And we'll repower it up in that mode. Flashing again. So it's possible it's got no power somewhere. So we've got negative on the end, which is nothing's probably grounded. 9.6 on the motor, so that far's working. Oh, I've got 9 on that one. Yeah, I get a feeling this should be around 9 on that one as well. So that's the RW. Okay, so I just checked the other one. Yeah, once that pause button's flashed a little bit, the motor should give a quick spin and then stop. And as long as this end switch, there's 4 switches along here, two there. Yeah, this end one's got a little white bit of plastic. When you eject it, that comes up. When you close it, that's enough to get the deck to run. When you press the direction buttons, so you've only got to have that end one on, the rest of them must be metal, chrome or something like that. So I guess we'll check. And the other motor, yeah, when it's just sitting there, you got ground and 9 volts on the other 3 pins. So this one, I think we'll have to check the other 2 pins and see if it looks like it's doing that little reset thing, or pressing the buttons does anything. If the voltage doesn't change, then we've probably got a logic problem. We've got 8.8. And nothing really happened. Nothing happens, nothing happens. Oh, something's moving. I just saw a solenoid flick. I guess that's the other thing. If we press on here, no, nothing seems to be happening. So that's not a good sign. But the solenoid's flicking, so I would have thought it was a dud motor more than likely, but you can't make assumptions with electronics. Interesting. So is it something that switches the motor, or do we have bad connections? I doubt it, but you never know. I might even have to see if I can find a circuit for this. I'm pretty sure there is a circuit online, just to make things a bit quicker, because we've got a transistor I can see. Well, I won't know which one's which here because they're all 9 volt. We'll have to continuity check. That's ground. Nine and 9. Let's press something. Does anything change? No. But yeah, definitely a solenoid here. Flicks. Little gear turns. So it's trying to make the gear, I said the solenoid's actually going up against a little rotary magnet, I think, and it's trying to get, so if the motor starts, it should engage a gear there. And we don't get any of that. Okay, since I had another deck here, I've just unsoldered the wiring harness on my old thing from the board, unsoldered the 4 wires from the motor in this one, which are going to have to come off anyway, and yeah, this motor runs. Interestingly, it seems to run most of the time, and then when you actually press the direction buttons is when it stops, but that's when that solenoid's meant to kick in, so maybe it's looking for something. Of course, there's no feedback to this mech, but it runs fine. So yeah, it's very rare you diagnose one of these as faulty and it's not them. I don't know if I ever have, but yeah, normally if they don't run, it's the motor. Almost 100% of the time, these little, are they Mabuchi or whatever, EG510FD 2BF 12 volt 2400, they do die from time to time. Not always sure why, but sometimes the electronics in them dies. I mean, they are a motor, so the brushes could do something, or the electronics fails just from heat and use and whatever. But we still don't know for sure. That the fact that head is out, there may be issues there, and I suspect there are, because if this mech is not halfway through, but we might be able to, now I know which solenoid does it, we might be able to run the mech manually and just see if we can get heads and stuff to turn, because it's no good quoting for another motor if the heads are broken or something. But when that solenoid, and we know the motor runs that way now, well, it does tell you if it's a 2B, I think it's 2B and 2L. I thought it was 2R and 2L on these things, right and left. So look at the front of this. This is a right rotating one by the look of it. So if we can get that solenoid to flick its little gear in place. It doesn't want to do it. Oh, there we go. Something happened, but yeah, no head. Yeah, as I suspected, the lever should just push this head to either direction and it should stay there. This is loose, so it's broken, I'm guessing. So, part 1, dud motor. Part 2, broken gear on the head maybe. Let's get it apart. Is that what we need to do? I think that takes the front off. Then again, that's attached there, so maybe not. I think you've got to take this out. I think, yeah, that's connected to a screw there. But I think that all has to come off. We have to get the front off, and then I think we're going to take that top plate off. We've got 2 screws under here holding the mech in. Carefully remove the door by sliding that upwards. Forget how to do it. Yeah, if we lift that up now and carefully, I think we've got some lights down the side. That's right. I need something attaching this on. That's on that connector, which doesn't want to come out. Hey Sony, this one hasn't been out for a while. There we go. Sometimes got to tilt them one way or the other. Let's just at least get that away where it can't get scratched or anything. So I think we take that screw out there next to the buttons, Now we can get that out of the way, and I think we're right to loosen the mech off now by removing a couple of screws under here. I think the other third screw under here just holds the front switch assembly bracket on, so we don't want to take that one out. Luckily those screws are all the same length. What have we got here? One on the front. Bound to be a couple more somewhere. That's it, I think. And now I just got to find out what wires I've got a counter belt. Yes, I had a feeling I had to just the one screw. That's a screw we don't want to lose. Lifting these little switch things up. Let's take the counter belt off. Oh yeah, the little switch things catching there, that'll get our front panel off. And just watch all these little tiny wires for the LEDs and stuff on the front. It's not broken, I don't think. What is going on? Oh, there must be a spring missing or something then. That should push both. Yeah, it does push both ways. So it does come back, sort of. Yeah, the one in mine has a definite flick into each position. Yeah, is there meant to be a spring under there? Some of them used to have a spring underneath. It does have a spring underneath, which has come off by the look of it. I don't think it's broken anything, thankfully, but it's this big spring over here. Big long spring here, which is, oh, it's actually got the wiring harness going up the middle of it. There you go. That should be over this piece here, I think. So that's come off. Yeah, that should go over this pin here, I think, like that. Is that correct? Though. Yeah, now it clicks, and it clicks. There's not a lot holding it on there, so it's in theory it can't come off. So something's gone wrong now. It no longer wants to work. Yeah, what happened? That should lock. Something is loose or something. Yeah, something. I think this plastic. Yeah, it's lifting. So that's either, that's probably got a crack in it somewhere. It explains why something went wrong with it. Hopefully we can glue that back on. It's probably completely changed position from where it should be now. Okay, that explains it, because I was going to say if it's come off there's usually a good reason, but this little white gear, oh yeah, I can see it, yeah, there's a split in it. That's what used to happen, it's usually that bottom gear splits. But that's probably the worst of it. At least we know it's not a mech issue causing that head to be like that. It's usually, yeah, the little gear on the bottom somewhere breaks, or the little one, that little half gear thing that drives it. In this case, yeah, it's split, and that does have to be put back in a certain place if you glue it back on, because it likely has, well, it's definitely not clicking properly now. We're just lucky before, I guess, that it happened to click into position. Now it's probably rotated so the head doesn't click on the ends. So if you glue one of them back on, you've got to make sure you get the head in the right spot when you attach the gear. And look at this, it's got 82, 3, 4, lots of dots in 83, 4 in 84, 1 in 82. So I guess that's the years they were planning on making these machines for.